Ric Flair coming to the ring here, and this is an interesting moment. Of course, the night before on Slamboree, he had been attacked, and everybody thought it was Vince Russo under the Sting mask, when in fact it was actually his own son, David Flair, and they, along with the help of Russo, crush a Statue of Liberty, little collectible over his head, and then the big reveal: it was his own son turning against him. So Flair's coming to the ring to cut a promo, and he's got what's known as the Vegas Big Gold. Once upon a time, when he took the big gold belt to Vince McMahon from the NWA, the NWA got an injunction to say you can't show that belt on TV anymore. So they had him wear a tag belt, and they just blurred it out until Reggie could actually make a Reggie Parks version of the big gold. That belt is now on the wall of Triple H. And in his other hand was the 10 pounds of gold, the original OG one, just like the one that you won and others wore. But this is the original, Briscoe, Harley, Terry Funk, Dusty, Ric Flair version, also on the wall of Triple H. Flair cutting a promo, man. It's good TV no matter what year it is, isn't it?
It is. And, people, again, I'm kind of going through this era. There was bits and pieces. When I think back during this era of my career, if you can kind of take snapshots out, yeah, that was good TV. Yeah, that was good TV. But when you kind of lump us all together, it's just painted with a different picture. But the Nature Boy in these days, like you could just see it right there. You don't even have to have the sound up. The passion that he puts in, and with him with the 10 pounds of gold in one hand and the big gold on the floor, and he picks that up, and the story that he tells, it's passionate. It's just, man, what an era this was. You topped it off right and said, we're going to talk about some complete chaos. What an episode we picked today.
So we're going to see David Flair come out here with Daphne and Vince Russo. Going to get a lot of promo time here from Vince Russo, who's going to talk about how, he's spitting in the face of tradition and rattle off a bunch of legends that he doesn't respect.
Flat foot shirts on the front row, Connie.
I see that. How much did you have to pay them to wear that?
Easy, pal. Easy.
David is in the center of this story. And I've always kind of felt bad for David because they really rushed him into the ring here. I mean, normally you go through some sort of a training process, and then maybe developmental, and then you work a lot of spot shows, and you warm up before you're on TV. But long before Hook and Brock Anderson were sort of learning in front of us all on AEW television, David Flair was doing that more than 20 years prior. And I just felt bad for David. It's got to be really, really challenging to be in the shadow of a legend that's as revered as Ric Flair, and now be thrown into the lion's den. And not just in the wrestling community, where you've got all these guys that you're traveling with, and you're not even old enough to rent a car. And you got to make all this work. And by the way, this is really like your first real job with any real income. And oh, by the way, you're going to have some of your very first matches on television. That's a tall ask for anybody, is it not?
Conrad, and we've talked about in depth this set of circumstances. When I broke in, my dad was so adamant, basically, and it was a blessing and a curse. We've talked about that, but I had to appear on TV every Saturday morning. But the other 6 days or 7 nights, because Saturday night I got to work in Nashville, I got to perform live in front of crowds. I did that for 7 years. 3.5, 4 years in, Crockett came, wanted me to go. My dad told him, no, he's not ready yet. I started at 18, and yes, I was young, but still the amount of reps that I had, comparatively speaking, and look, I don't think you need to do that today, but just the amount of reps and the comfort level, because the wrestling audience, not just the wrestling audience, the audience knows. If you put any, actor, if you will, in a blockbuster film, and they've been acting for 3 months, as much as you want to do with post-production and cleaning it up and all that, it's still really hard. Same in the music business. Guys that don't really know how to perform or sing, or, it just shines a light on it. So I have always felt bad for, through the years, you just kind of look back. I mean, Eric Watts, I thought, was pushed into a spot early. David Flair pushed into a spot early. And they're candidly, they're just not ready. And it to me, the backside of all this, it shortens the career. It just does. It closes the window pretty rapidly because of just the amount of, I mean, where do you go with David at this stage? He's standing in the ring with his father on Nitro in a major, major angle. It's just hard to follow all that. And not being a seasoned wrestler, it's tough, man. It's very, very tough.
Flair's going to be sweating bullets during this segment, and Meltzer would say he was working so hard. And he references in this promo, Flair does, he's going to reach in his pocket and pull out a cell phone and tell David, I'll get you a job with Vince McMahon. You can be on Raw next Monday. And the whole crowd cheers. And Meltzer would say, why not go on your own show? By the crowd reaction and your own positioning, tell everyone you're a Bush League promotion. I didn't think that's what he was saying here, but I do think he was probably triggered with the fact that his son is wearing an I Heart New York shirt. I mean, in Flair's generation, you didn't say McMahon or the WWF or the World Wrestling Federation. You just called it New York, right?
Yep. You're going to go to Atlanta, you're going to go to New York. And that was kind of a code for, you're going to work for WCW, you're going to work for WWF. And look, reading the research and going through all this and knowing that the real corporate struggle going on between Russo and Bischoff, I'll call it Flair and the kind of the mainstays, if you will, of WCW, Flair, Sting. And look, I'm not saying nobody was aligned, but, Hogan, Hall, and Nash, for lack of a better word, they had come down from WWF. So there was tension across the board. And without clear direction of a leader, you kind of get a comment from Rick. Now, did he mean it mean-spirited and was at the end of the day? But again, goal alignment was not in place.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson here to tell you a little more about what AdFreeShows.com is all about. Get early, ad-free access to more than a dozen of your favorite wrestling podcasts every single week, starting at just $9. That's less than 20 cents an episode each month. And yes, you can listen to them all directly through Apple Podcasts or your regular podcast apps. How easy is that? Ad-Free Shows also has thousands of hours worth of bonus content and docuseries like Title Chase, Eric Fires Back, Conversations with Conrad, and The Insiders. Plus new series like The Book with David Crockett, Monday Mailbags with Mike Chioda and Nick Patrick, and a whole lot more. And you want to talk about early? You can't get any earlier than listening to the shows live. You can be a part of the live studio audience as we record the podcast. Plus, ride shotgun alongside your favorite childhood heroes for live watch-alongs, Q&As, and other interactive experiences every single month. Come on now, see for yourself what thousands of other wrestling fans from around the world have discovered, that AdFreeShows.com is the best value in wrestling. Check it out today, and hey, when you do, the first week is completely free. AdFreeShows.com.